So we all know what one of these bad boys are. No, it's not just a standard watch, it's actually the Galaxy Watch 3. Yeah, I'm an Android wanker, which basically means that me and Steve Jobs don't get on. But if you're using one of these to track the amount of calories that you're burning off, then that's a first class ticket to being a bit disappointed with your progress. And here's why. There's been a lot of research on these bad boys recently, and the multitude of research that have came out have tested multiple different kinds of smartwatches or Fitbits on their accuracy when it comes to the amount of calories that you burn off. And the studies have all pinpointed to the same thing, that they're really not that accurate, ranging from a 20% margin of error all the way to a 60% margin of error. Which basically means that if you're relying on one of these things to determine how many calories you're burning in a workout, for example, then you might be incredibly wrong. It could say that you burnt 400 calories, when in actual fact you burned about 50 to 100 calories. And then if you go forward and eat back those 400 calories, which it's said that you've burnt off, you've probably actually eaten 300 calories more than you've actually burnt off. Meaning that creating the calorie deficit that you need to be creating in order to lose fat is a little bit less possible. And it's really, really annoying actually when MyFitnessPal actually automatically adds on the amount of calories that you burn off if you connect one of these things to MyFitnessPal. Because that says to people, oh, you've burned off this amount of calories, which means you can eat this many calories back in order to stay within your deficit. But as we now know, it's really not that accurate. So please do not rely upon them. The only two things that these are really good for is tracking your steps. So it's actually really, really accurate in tracking your steps, because obviously if you go out and it says you've got about 6,000 to 7,000 steps, it's a little bit more accurate than the amount of calories that it says you've burned off. And secondly, it's also good for telling the time or changing your music if you've got like a smartwatch in the gym. It's pretty cool. And it also makes you look like an absolute fucking legend if you've got one of these, evidently. So what I'm not saying is that they're completely useless, 100%. Like, use them to track your steps if you really, really want to, and use them to tell the time and also to change your music in the gym. But do not use them to track the amount of calories that you're burning off, because funny enough, there's actually not a surefire, guaranteed, universally agreed way to track how many calories you're burning off, because there's so many different factors which affect it. For example, your age, your height, your gender, to name but three. And then you've also got such things as how long you've actually been training for, how intense you were going, the time of day it is, the day of week it is, the month of year it is, what you've been eating throughout the day, because calorie intake and calorie expenditure are both proportional to each other. There's so many different factors which actually determine how many calories you were burning off throughout the day, that relying on one of these to determine that for you is honestly, it's really not a vibe, to be honest with you. So use it for what they're made for, telling the time, tracking your steps, and also putting on a bit of Flow Rider whilst you're trying to get out a heavy set of deadlifts or whatever it is that you listen to. Don't use it to track your calories. They're really not that accurate. And as soon as you stop using this to track your calories, you'll actually probably notice that your progress increases as a result of that. I hope that helps, and I hope that makes sense. If you like this video, make sure that you give it a like. If you've got any questions for me, make sure that you comment below, because I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. And if you want to catch any more free fitness or fat loss based content without any of the bullshit, as always, make sure that you're either following my Instagram at k.p_health or subscribe to this channel. Peace.